What I wanted to create was something that would generate a slow burn learn, something that would get people to think about things over time, change that will spread amongst people.
The way wānanga is set up, it's unlike any PLD that I'd certainly done before, because you are constantly being invited into a space to have thoughts, feelings and opinions.
I want them to feel that they can come to a space where their voice is important and their voice needs to be heard. And so the learning is layered. We begin really by saying, what do we know about the fabric of New Zealand society right now? Then we feed in different pieces of information, and people are allowed to unlearn misconceptions. So we begin with their prior knowledge and experiences as the basis for adding in new learning. And as we add in resources to activate the new learning, the conversation continues.
The content was really interesting and people wanted to know, but the pedagogy and the different ways that you introduced ideas, it might be through reading something and sharing or making a poster, or, you know, it was very hands-on. People were thinking and talking and actually having those spaces to just sit and create something, but the talking that went into creating something was really important. But then not leaving that, coming back to that, doing another activity and then going back, well, what would you add now? Just help keep it going deeper. Then staying together on the marae was, I think, another really important part of it, and having those conversations into the evening. And doing the reading, actually, as we were all lying there in bed, I actually got the readings to prepare for tomorrow. It was a real learning experience.
So you get a bit of information, you go away, you do some thinking, you put some bits in practice, you do an activity. It links back, so it's scaffolding it. Your confidence builds over the 2 days, because by the time it gets to day 2, you've got some prior knowledge. You know some of that theorising, and you feel a little bit more confident to participate, to give in, to have your ideas. You've also seen how other people's suggestions are accepted and responded to, and there's been no judgment, and there's been lots of curiosity.
There might be some confronting information in there, but it's not about making people feel bad about what's happened. It's about, here we are, this is why we're here, moving forward, what can we do to improve things? We're all at different stages, like, you know, some of us knew a lot, some of us knew absolutely nothing.
The blended learning itself was about unsilencing much of the silent history and helping people to understand actually what was the reality of the schooling for many Māori and their whānau. Once they know that, how they as educators can either contribute to change or can actually perpetuate the inequity that Māori have experienced and that has been identified since the 60s. What we've found is the hardest thing in order to bring about change has been changing the hearts and minds of the educators with whom we work.
It was challenging. I think when you go into the details of the history, being very aware your ancestry is on the Crown side, so hearing about the way things had worked for Māori here, it was confronting to be part of the history that had caused so much damage and hurt, and thinking that that was not just in the past, it's a continuing thing. So when we were facing the issues of racism that were still having an impact now, and feeling, you know, as the head of school, having a big responsibility to get staff involved in this, it opened a door that was showing me there was an awful lot I knew nothing about.
I was somewhat aware of the kind of conscious bias that permeates in Aotearoa New Zealand, but I was much less aware of the sort of accepted racism that's happening without people being aware of it and what role I was playing in that myself and perpetuating some of the myth takes, for example. And so I think that was the most profound learning from my perspective, was to sort of understand my role in that and start thinking about the things that I could do to change.
Once you've alerted to it, you see it. And I think some of the videos that were shared where people told their stories, that helps you notice what is happening.
I think the main thing is calling it out when we see it. So it might not be that we have a big platform to talk to lots of different people and a big stage to do that on, but even just one-to-one conversations, did you notice this? Did you notice the way this was worded? What do you think about that? Those types of conversations, one person at a time, I think can make a difference.
I don't begin by saying this is what you have to do. And in fact, I don't believe we ever say that. We say, what is it you know about this already? And if I give you this piece of information, what does that do to the prior learning that you came with? And I guess that first wānanga is all about that. It's really about layering in and making changes to their own thinking, to their own way of being. I know some people find it challenging, but nobody has ever said that they feel unsafe, that they feel they're being talked at. Many people feel that they've been given an opportunity to talk about things that they've wanted to talk about for a long time.